Thank you. Allow me to recognize the presence of our chief guest, Honorable Dorothy Gwajima, the Minister of Community Development, Gender, Women, and then Special Group. Allow me to recognize also the presence of my colleague, Zlatan Mlezic, who is the UN resident coordinator in Tanzania. Allow me also to recognize the presence of Ambassador Manfredo Fanti, the EU ambassador to Tanzania. I would also want to recognize the presence of our friend UNESCO Uli Gurumwa, the national coordinator for the Tanzania Human Rights Defender Coalition. I would want to recognize also the presence of the representative of my good friend Hassan Shire. Sorry, I forgot your name. And stand by the existing protocol and then say thank to all of you and for the opportunity that you gave me to say these a few words this morning. I would first of all want to say that I am doing two things in one today. One, that I'm trying to convey to you the global message of my High Commissioner, Mr. Volker Turk, on the occasion of the 10th of December, which, as you know, mark the celebration of the Human Rights Day. It's the culmination of the 16 days of activism, which we are using this year to actually launch the one-year campaign for the reclaiming of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights on the 75th anniversary, and also a few words on the Human Rights Defenders Days. So it's a very delicate exercise that I'm going to embark on. If I'm a little bit longer, please bear with me. It is my very great honor to join you today in celebrating this milestone in the promotion, protection, and then fulfillment of our human rights globally, and particularly here in Tanzania. As I stand here, I bring best wishes to all of you present, from the High Commissioner, my High Commissioner, based in Geneva, who used yesterday to launch this campaign in celebrating this day. Today's celebration coincided, of course, with my presence, as you can see, in the country. And then I'm very happy to physically be part of you. And then I thank my colleagues and good friends, Zlatan, for making this possible. Human Rights Day is observed by the international community every year on the 10th of December. And then it commemorates the day in 1948 when the United Nations General Assembly adopted the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. This year, indeed special, as the UN High Commissioner for Human Rights said yesterday, we will take the opportunity as he leads through my office the celebration to launch a year-long office-wide Universal Declaration of Human Rights 75th initiative to commemorate the 75th anniversary of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the 30th anniversary of the Vienna Declaration and program of action that paved the way for the establishment of my office. This anniversary presents an opportunity for the world to celebrate the Universal Declaration and then to reaffirm the enduring human rights principle and standard it has helped us to establish so far. The Universal Declaration on Human Rights 75th anniversary will be led by the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and together with partners such as you all present here today, and will run from December 2022 today to December 2023. And with an eye on the past and as well as to the future, the initiative provides us with an opportunity to recall the consensus envisaged by the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and to reset, strengthen, and further develop the global commitment to human rights. So it is vital that we come together and use the opportunity afforded to us by this anniversary to rekindle the spirit, impulse, and vitality that led to the adoption of this, what my High Commissioner called miraculous test 75 years, almost 75 years ago. My friends, I'm also here on a very specific occasion. As we celebrate the Human Rights Day, I take this opportunity to recognize the invaluable contribution of the human rights defenders, and we recommit our support to them as they are on the front line to stand up and voices out for those who are most marginalized and then vulnerable to threat and then human rights violation and abuses. Today, we are here also to highlight the need to protect and then enable safe environment, especially online counter-discrimination, stigma, and hate speech against human rights defenders. We continue to acknowledge the challenges that human rights defenders undergo globally, which include, among others, the lack of explicit recognition of protection of human rights defenders' mandate. And then in this respect, we call upon distributors to pass on and then implement legislation to protect human rights defenders from harassment and repression. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights year-long campaign that I mentioned seeks to shift the needle from understanding and an action toward greater knowledge of the universality of the human rights defenders' role and the Universal Declaration of the Human Rights and the activists associated with it. In that project, and this is the word from my High Commissioner, we will embark in three issues. Educate. It will mean that we will work toward increasing global knowledge and an awareness of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and its enduring relevance for our time and then for the future. Secondly, we will work toward promoting attitude change through understanding and then countering the increasing skepticism and then rollback against human rights by establishing that informed by context, human rights are never relative and must always be upheld towards unite us as humanity. And the third one, it will be to empower and then mobilize, offering concrete knowledge and then tools to help people better fight for their rights. And then in this respect, ladies and gentlemen, The Universal Declaration of Human Rights 75th Anniversary Initiative is a structure also across 3 pillars: promoting the universality and then indivisibility of right. And this will help us to renew the consensus on the universality and then the indivisibility of human rights and rebuild the constituencies for human rights, especially among young people and what my predecessor called the human rights defenders of fraternity. To date, we are witnessing global trends characterized by geopolitical shifts, increased political polarization, and then a growing pushback on the universality of right and its global architecture. There is increasingly also the embracing of cultural relativism as pattern that we are seeing. Of particular significance are the implications of this development for human rights, its system, the access to this right, and more importantly, those like yourself, human rights defenders who are on the front line defending these fundamental values. When we are looking to the future, we want to reflect on breakthrough for human rights over the next 25 years. What will human rights work looks like? For you, for all of us as a human rights defenders, what does that mean, that question? Looking to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights 100 and then deepen the thinking on the future of a human rights challenge is critical as we celebrate birthday today. We must not overlook the fact that this year, Human Rights Day, is commemorated at a time of a global and a regional crisis. Poverty is on the upward trajectory, violence, inequality, discrimination, and shrinking of the civic spaces are on the rise everywhere in our continent and then globally as well. Conflict globally have caused other fault lines as well as hindering the realization of a human right that you human rights defenders are fighting for on a daily basis. These current trends certainly call for a need to reset a moment of profound contemplation. This is not only about the tool, the meaning, and then the understanding of our right, but also about our values, our culture associated with them. And then at this point, the importance of a culture of tolerance, context-specific engagement, and a culture of acceptance, and a continued dialogue, and increased culture of responsibility, integration, coexistence, mutual respect, and then communication need to be highlighted and then revamped. As I usually say, we cannot afford to lose the universality and the indivisibility of our human rights, despite the challenge that the context in which we operate places us on. We need also to have a bolstering approach to the human rights ecosystem, strengthening the human rights architecture, including a vision for the future of the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, and then bolster the member states and then public trust to mobilize more resources today and tomorrow for all those involved in promotion, defense, and then protection of our human rights. Today, human rights are increasingly perceived as a divisive product rather than a unifying factor for societies, community for which it is undeniable is a cause to be together. In light of this, I encourage the government of Tanzania, the civil society, donors agencies, and an international partner throughout 2020 and 2023 to strengthen their commitment to human rights, and particularly to supporting the work of the human rights defenders in the country and then also in the sub-region. And in order to build the constituency for human rights and bolster the human rights ecosystem, we do need to address the root causes of a human rights violation. We certainly will call on the government of Tanzania to support the national human rights system, which includes, of course, the National Human Rights Commission, the civil society organizations, and all the stakeholders, including women and then youth group, to embark on the protection work. I hear Onesmo's call for increased support to the human rights defenders' work. And then I want here again to recommit the availability and then also the very strong presence and belief of my office, the Office of the High Commissioner for Human Rights, to supporting the work that you're doing here in Tanzania, but also in the region. I would want, on this note, to thank all of you for the road from the day we launched the 16 days of activism and its culmination today as we celebrate the Human Rights Day and also the special occasion for the engagement of human rights defenders in Tanzania and then in the sub-region. Let us always remember that human rights safeguard the dignity of every person and are universal and shall be accessible to all. And on this note, I thank you for your attention and I wish us a very good celebration. Thank you very much.
Asante sana.